It's time to get educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. This is the Dr. Duke Show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show. We've got another great show for you, so hit that share button because we like to share. Today's show is sponsored by Mike Lindell and our good friends at MyPillow. This week, MyPillow is offering their beautiful Egyptian cotton Giza Dream Sheets for just $40. A great sheet set for $40. That's a 60% savings when you use the code Dr. Duke. Just enter DRDUKE. Buy yourself some great linens. Help out a great patriot and help out a plucky little school called FreedomProject Academy. Today, we head across the pond where schools in the UK are now beginning to ban all meat products in hot lunches to apparently stop global climate change. And so once again, your kids who are getting shorted on education now are going to get shorted on nutrition in the name of left-wing lunacy.
Isn't it fun? Barrowford Primary School in Lancashire revealed to their parents in a letter that they had banned all meat options from their lunch menu because it's, we have a desire here to stop climate change, right? That little primary school, they're going to solve all the world's problems. So thank you for going completely meatless. Now, parents have been asked to refrain from including meat in lunches that they too pack for their own kids because traditionally and across the world, well, not in France, schools, they actually have really good lunches over. And if you ever watch documentaries,
little cups of wine.
But they have a really good school. But apparently in the UK, just like their adult food is not all that great, the school lunch is not great, just like in the US where the school lunch is not great. And so a lot of parents pack their own kids' lunch. But no, please, parents, if you're going to, spend your own money to help be nutritious for your children, please, we're trying to save the world, so no meat, okay?
Yeah, that's the part that bothers me the most. It's annoying that you're doing this. If I were in your school, I would find another school. But then to tell the parents, right, that what's going to happen. Remember when we had Michelle Obama in charge of American lunches?
I do.
And we actually have that story where teachers were identifying the lunches that mom sent to school. And if those lunches did not conform to the garbage that the public schools were those teachers were throwing the lunches into the garbage. And you know that the authoritarianism in the UK is even worse than it currently is in the United States. And so this business that we're going to save the world by depriving your kids of nutrients, and you moms and dads, if you think you're going to bring your own sandwiches, your own meat sandwiches, you're going to give your kids an alternative that the public school kids are going to get, nope, not going to let you do that. That's the part that really bothers me.
What's interesting is that they've actually at this school banned the meat in the lunches, so they've had vegetarian lunches for over a year now, but it was just like now that the parents are like, for the parents who are sending lunch with their kid to school, they're only becoming aware of such changes now, and it was because of that letter that was sent out by, the headmaster, Rachel Tomlinson, who claimed that the aim of the measure was to stop climate change, and that she wanted those who gave their children packed lunches to follow suit, in which she says, if you still want to send packed lunches, if you want to feed your kid, essentially, could you please consider meat-free options to further support us in doing our bit to reduce carbon emissions at a school community? Our children learn about the principles of sustainable development as part of the national curriculum and are really interested in how they can contribute to better looking after our environment.
So notice what they do. They're pitting the children against the parents.
Yes, they are.
We've given your kids a set of political ideas that you're getting away with.
Yes.
You're ignoring by sending your kid to school with some Toddish sconies or some bacon on whatever the hell kind of bread they eat over there. The food. But nevertheless.
No, I will. No.
Bavra?
I've lived over there.
Bavra?
There's actually a lot of good food. Most of it may be coming from Indian cuisine, but it's still really good. And fish and chips with mushy peas.
Well, Indian food, of course, is vegetarian food.
That's true.
And
Their food.
The mushy peas.
No, but I've had a lot of chicken too, so that's
interesting.
Anywho, continuing on with our headmaster, we made our school lunches meat-free to demonstrate how each of us making a small change to our daily habits can have a much wider positive impact, and that reducing meat consumption is just one way to do this.
Yeah, well, God knows what else they're making them do at that school. And I have one question. In this era of political correctness, how do they get to keep the term headmaster? I mean, when all the other aspects of colonialism and white supremacy have been scrubbed from the schools, how do you have one person in charge, white woman nonetheless, who gets to call herself the headmaster, the headmistress? That just strikes me as a contradiction of their woke values. However, despite Tomlinson saying she was willing to discuss the measure with anyone who had misgivings, parents have not responded positively to her request. Quote, "It's a joke. I'm looking to move mine as I've had enough of that school," one parent is reported as saying. "I think they forget that non-meat eaters and vegans have to take a lot of supplements." And they do. There's a reason you have canine teeth in your head, idiots, right? There's a reason we are omnivorous, because we can eat and require food from a whole different number of areas, including meat. This recent development comes as the crusade against meat eating increases in intensity across the UK. One UK council, headed up by a coalition of left-leaning parties, of course, has voted to ban serving of meat at official events, mandating that all meals be vegan, not even vegetarian only. Oxfordshire County Council, City Council, made the decision despite the heavy levels of agriculture surrounding the area. As one person put it, madness, utter madness, lamented local TV personality turned farmer Jeremy Clarkson, who also serves as host of the popular car show The Grand Tour and farming serial Clarkson's Farm, regarding the council's decision. Quote, "Why are liberal Democrats always so Stalinist?" he asked. "I'll bet you Stalin's diet was full of meat."
Are you a fan of the show? Consider joining the Patriot Club. Your tax-deductible donation of $99 a year keeps us going. Simply visit patriotclub.us. That's patriotclub.us to pledge your support and receive our signature tumbler as a token of our appreciation. We've got much more to come. Stay with us.
Meanwhile, in the United States, specifically New York City, it's time for Vegan Fridays because, of course, it's time for Vegan Fridays in New York City. Now, New York City school cafeterias are going to switch to an entirely vegan menu on Fridays, and then probably Thursdays, and then, hey, why not Wednesdays? And why, it'd be like tofurkey Tuesdays.
If tofurkey for you.
I don't even know if that counts as vegan. Probably not. Vegans, you're probably not watching us. Anyway, it's an entirely vegan menu on Fridays, and it's amid, of course, new efforts by the city and the Biden administration to provide critical nutrition for millions of kids. Now, this is the same New York City that has already been meatless twice a week. I don't know what days. Is it Monday, Wednesday, and then now Friday's vegan? We don't know. Does it matter? The nutrition in New York City schools is already not looking great. But Mayor Eric Adams, the new mayor, called it a way to improve the quality of life for thousands of New York City students. As he said that plant-based meals are delicious and nutritious, which is why I previously called for vegetarian and vegan options in schools. Now, see, here's the difference. You can have vegetarian and vegan options, but
as
why
long as
can't
they're options. Right.
This whole options versus mandate thing,
because
we don't understand that terminology in this country.
You know as well as I do, if there was an option, everybody would be eating the meat.
Yeah, the beef. I'm thrilled, he said, to see that all students will now have access to healthy foods that will prevent debilitating health conditions. And if you want me to go off on a rant for about 25 minutes just on that statement alone,
please do.
Please, we don't have 25 minutes to talk.
Let me taunt you. Where's the protein going to come from? Please explain that to me.
They're going to have to just rely solely on beans.
Or soy.
Or soy boys.
So little man boobs will be growing.
Because if we're going vegan, we know that if you are in an all-vegan diet,
especially for children, if you don't do it very specifically and very aware of what you're actually eating in that diet, you are going to have debilitating effects. Look at the data. Oh no, the science. Dr. Anthony Fauci, where are you? Mr. Science, Dr. Science. They lack specific nutrients that help them, and especially for children. I mean, all you have to do is imagine a teenage boy.
That's just because of the way their bodies change and grow. And we're going to see in the next story, if you don't give them enough good nutrients in their body,
particularly protein-based meat.
Yeah, and I guess it doesn't matter because we don't care about education, but their brain becomes fuzzy. It's not just the physical, it's the mental aspects, the emotional aspects, how it affects everything in their ability to just function as a human being. But we don't care about that in schools anymore. So I guess it comes full circle. It all makes sense.
This is virtue signaling to a group and using a group of kids that really can't stand this. Look, if you want to do it to me in my adult cafeteria, fine. I mean, God knows I've had more than my share of meat in my world, in my life. But to do it to young growing bodies is really a dangerous precedent. You should force the mayor of New York to eat that garbage all the time. All of his tasty and delicious nonsense. I think he'd get sick of it in about 1 week.
All this actually aligns here with what the USDA is doing when in early February they actually provided their new final rule, as they're calling, which is updating 3 things for next school year. And so mom and dad, pay attention, wake up, Department of Agriculture. They're doing things affecting your school lunches. They get to next year. The schools and the daycares, so pay attention if you have a kid in daycare, that they can offer now flavored 1% milk. Flavored with what? How much sugar are they getting to flavor that 1% milk? And that's for anyone who's age 6 and older. So that sounds like it's super healthy, not. And the weekly sodium intake is staying at its current level, but it will be decreased by 10% in the 2023 school year, and then more later on. So any flavor that once was in that food is just going to continue to diminish. And the third thing is that now at least 80% of grains in your lunches or school breakfast must be whole grain rich, with at least 50% whole grains. So, I mean, I'm all for whole grains, absolutely. But what they're doing is not overall going to be beneficial to the children and what they're getting to eat. Because as we remember, going back to the Michelle Obama school lunches, when the parents sent the good, healthy foods that helped their kids to thrive, and it got put in the garbage, it was going on top of all of the Michelle Obama food that the kids refused to eat because there was nothing to it that was palatable for them to go in and down.
Yeah, this is adults who have lots of money and lots of privilege deciding what your kids are going to eat. This is one more example, Mom, whatever you have, if you have no other reason to fight it on a nutritional level, because it is taking more power and more control away from you. You want to feed your children what is healthy. You're going to give them a nice balance between meat and other things. You're not going to deprive them of that source of protein because their growing young bodies need it. But bureaucrats all around the country are going to do it to you. Take a look at it at the federal level. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack, sack of something, quote, nutritious school meals give America's children the foundation for successful, healthy lives. We applaud schools' heroic efforts throughout the challenges of this pandemic to continue serving kids the most nutritious meals possible. And that's a bunch of gooey, mashed up vegetables, apparently, without anything else to go around. And I pretty much guarantee you that Secretary Vilsack is not eating that way himself.
Today's show is sponsored by Clean Start Hand Sanitizer. For an odor-free foam hand sanitizer that lasts 2 hours and provides 19 refills, visit freedomproject.com/clean. That's KLEEN to order yours today.
Now we have a story about a dad in upstate New York who maybe should go down to New York City and take advantage of the vegan lunches. Maybe it would provide a large enough head of broccoli that would, fill and sustain his teenage son from getting what he has been getting in his school lunches. Take a look at what he has gotten. There's the
God
picture.
Help us.
Yes, this is it's a since deleted Facebook post from Potsdam, New York, where a father of 4 named Christopher Vangelo shared a photo of a school lunch that his 16-year-old son received at the Parishville Hopkinton Central High School District. Now, the lunch was comprised, as you see, actually maybe you can't tell what that is, but that's supposed to be 4 small chicken tenders, a small portion of...
Chicken tenders?
Those are chicken tenders. Chicken tenders.
Holy cow.
A small portion of the plain white rice, a few baby carrots there, and a carton of chocolate milk with, obviously, you have to have your 2 packets of ketchup and a small cup of barbecue sauce just to maybe choke it all down.
It looks like
Yes.
dog pee.
Now-
It looks like, man.
As the dad,
Can I emote
no,
here?
no, because I don't want to.
All right.
I don't want to hear what.
All right.
Anyway, the dad wrote, "I think the Parrishville school lunches might be a bit lacking, even for a kid that isn't 6'5" like Ash." So he's got a 16-year-old son who is 6'5", and that son is supposed to thrive after eating that lunch. If this was a game day, oh great, so he's an athlete. If this was a game day, I don't think any of the team would be getting enough energy from something like this. Fact check true.
This reminds me of a Michelle Obama lunch, right? This is the kind of stuff that was happening. Heard a great anecdote when this was going on, by the way. Schools in Los Angeles County, when they went to a primarily vegetarian-based lunch program under the Obamas, so much of it was being thrown away every single day in Los Angeles County that farmers from the suburbs would drive into the schools and they would go to the dumpsters and they would pull out all of the vegetables that were being thrown away and they would take it back home and slop their pigs with it. That's how much waste these ridiculous programs had engendered.
Now, the dad also said that his other children had told him that they didn't actually even see the carrots, those dry, tasteless carrots available. So if in those, by the way, mom and dad, little PSA here, the baby carrots are actually just cored out carrots. Like they're not even the good carrots, people. It's not like they just grew baby carrots.
They don't look like
just eat a real carrot.
They don't look
a
like they're
full
cooked at all,
carrot.
do they?
No, they're normal baby carrots. Have you never seen a baby carrot?
I have seen a
Let's
baby
talk about this. So then he also said that his kids have been complaining, and this is where we get into the, think about this, have been complaining that since the lunches are now free for everyone, that the portions have dropped. And Dad made sure to say a little PSA with a post because of the knee-jerk criticism that, don't come at me with the, you get what you pay for, or just send them with food crap either. Yeah, we can do that, and sometimes the kids do choose to bring something from home or will buy extra lunch to get more in them to get them through a day. The problem is that not all families can do that. So there's like the political battle, both sides of this. Well, ever since COVID, we've offered free breakfast, free lunches to everybody, meaning the people who really desperately need the food and who can't afford it on their own are also being disserved now because the people who can't afford the food, parents are just getting lazy, like, okay, I'll just send them. But because the staff, they have fewer staff in schools to actually prepare that food, and the supply chain issues all across the whole U.S., you're not getting good food. So now everyone is suffering. That's the point.
Let this now be yet another perfect example, an explanation of how socialism works, right? That we're going to force all your kids to get lunches free. The consequence of that is you can't bring your lunches anymore. We saw that throughout all three of these stories. Socialism works this way, right? You don't get to deliver what you want to deliver. You don't make choices for your kids. The socialist school does. So in order to give everybody the same sloppy lunch, including the rich kids and the middle class kids who don't need or want your help, you force them into the program. That means everybody gets a lunch across the board that is a lot crappier. And that's what we call equality. Socialism is shared misery. In this case, it turned like little chicken nuggets.
And we did know, there's actually a point in time where you can see the struggles starting to happen. And it began when the Department of Education extended the free lunches for all this school year, and it's to 27 states, which you're like, okay, that's about half the country. Except that within those 27 states, it accounts for 75% of the nation's students. And students that have Medicaid are automatically added to the program, and they get to receive the free meals for lunch and breakfast for a free or reduced price. And basically, as I said before, you compound on top of that supply chain issues and staffing shortages, and our children now are not thriving. They're not even surviving at this point.
It's time for some real education. This week, we're showcasing our Battles of America series. We're, again, very proud of these. These short videos are designed to educate adults and children alike on some of the greatest battles in American history. And some of our work here is actually finding itself taken off the internet and put into the public schools. Can you imagine public schools in the state of disarray that they are, using our materials to give kids an actual history lesson? Today we're looking at the Battle of Fort Washington in 1776 and its significant importance to the Revolutionary War. Enjoy.
Battles of America, Fort Washington. On October 28, 1776, British commander William Howe engaged and defeated the Continental Army in the Battle of White Plains, New York. This defeat for the Americans came on the heels of their retreat from New York City. Following this success, General Howe sought to take out the last colonial stronghold in Manhattan, Fort Washington. Forts Washington and Lee were located directly across the river from each other and built to defend Hudson Bay from British warships. Fort Washington, strategically placed at the highest point in Manhattan, was considered to be impenetrable by American General Nathaniel Greene, who convinced George Washington to not abandon the fort with the impending threat of attack. When Commander Howe ordered the American troops to surrender or die, Colonel Robert McGaw readily dismissed the threat, unaware that William Dumont, who had recently deserted to the British, provided them with the layout of the fort. On the morning of November 16, 1776, 8,000 British and Hessian soldiers descended on the fort. Using Dumont's traitorous information, Howe stormed the fort from the north, east, and south. Despite a valiant resistance, 3,000 patriots were no match for the British and their allies. One by one, the outer lines of defense were lost, causing the Patriots to retreat into the safety of the fort. The massive overcrowding so hampered the defenses inside the fort that by mid-afternoon, Colonel McGaw formally surrendered. Instead of enforcing their original threat of surrender or die, the British took 2,800 prisoners and commandeered the fort's weapons, provisions, and ammunition. Just 3 days later, General Washington abandoned Fort Lee and retreated toward the Delaware River, which would become the site of his iconic crossing of the Delaware into the Battle of Trenton. The American loss of Forts Washington and Lee was among the worst defeats suffered by the Patriots during the Revolutionary War.
I want to take a moment now to thank our Patriot Club members for making these videos possible. Their financial support does provide the resources to bring these incredible stories to life for all to enjoy. And in fact, we have many more battles to produce, but we need your financial help to actually make them happen. If you are not already a member, please consider joining our Patriot Club with a $99 gift to help us to continue to produce the Battles of America series. Simply visit patriotclub.us to get started. All right, now before we go, let's show some love to our Patriot Club members, the ones who have already become in the Patriot Club. And today, we're going to give a special shout out to Keith from Allentown, Pennsylvania. Keith, thank you for supporting us.
And I want to point out, that's a tax-deductible $99 for the Patriot Club. And that wraps up this show. For Freedom Project, I'm Dr. Duke, and she's Katie. Until next time, stay educated, my friends, and eat well.